Peace and blessings, Father Augustino here with your daily Lenten meditation. And today is Wednesday of the second week of Lent, and we are meditating Matthew chapter 17, and now we're going to look at verse 4. So it's the transfiguration. Jesus is being transfigured. Moses and Elijah appear. They're having a convo. And then Peter says, so Peter spoke up and said to Jesus, "Lord, how good it is that we are here. If you wish, I will make 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." So I like history and stuff like that, and I was looking up some history. Did you know that St. Thomas More was actually a very famous author? St. Thomas More, he was a martyr under King Henry VIII, right? He was the one that famously refused to take an oath that would deny his faith. He was chancellor, meaning he was kind of like the vice president, if you will, of England. And he was Catholic, and he didn't want to leave the Catholic Church, and so King Henry ended up martyring him, killing him for the faith. But before this, he wrote this book called Utopia. St. Thomas More is the one that coined the phrase utopia. He wrote it in 1516, and it's very interesting. What does utopia mean? Well, utopia is like a perfect place. We want to go to a utopian society where everything works, where all the people love each other, where we just get along and everything is going to be all right. Imagine all the people. Imagine there's no religion. Yeah, people have been talking about this for a long time, and it's interesting. St. Thomas More, he kind of describes this place, it's the island of Utopia, and it's brought by this guy named Raphael Hythlode is this guy's name. That he went there, he came back, it's amazing, and it had all these interesting things, like nobody owned property, and maybe there was a religion, maybe there wasn't, but there was married priests and women priests, and it's just perfect, right? But there was something not right. Have you ever talked to people who are crazy, uber smart, crazy smart, and they say a joke to each other in a different language, in Latin, and they giggle the seed quisibus monibus, right? And you're I don't get it, right? Well, this is kind of what was going on with St. Thomas More, because every word that he was saying in Greek was kind of talking about silly things. For example, utopia in Greek means utopos, no place. And the guy's name, Raphael Hythlode, Hythlode in Greek means dispenser of nonsense. I say all this, my brothers and sisters, because there's a temptation that we have in the world today, and it's kind of exemplified by what Peter said on the Mountain of Transfiguration. How good it is that we are here. I will build 3 tents, it says. Let me build 3 tents. Let me build 3 tents so that we can stay here. My brothers and sisters, at the end of the day, we cannot build our paradise here on earth. In the Gospel of Mark, it says later on that he did not know what he was saying for joy. He was, when we're going through consolation, when we're everything's going great, I feel great, we want to stay there. We cannot stay there. And then when we want to build something to keep it going, to keep I just want to keep the love flowing, I'm just such a good place, what I got to do, it's you are going to go through a time where that consolation will end. I'm sorry, but this is part of our struggle here on earth. Anyone can love when it's easy. Jesus is asking us to love even when it's difficult, because if not, it's not love. So I went back, I remember that Pope Benedict XVI talked about this shift in the modern mind of when we basically began to say, you know what, we kind of gave this whole God thing its chance. Now we are going to build paradise. This is what he says in Spe Salvi, awesome read. He said, the modern world sees salvation as a flight from responsibility, for the whole, and we have come to see the Christian project as a selfish search for salvation, which rejects the idea of serving others. So basically, when science began to form, it developed a method. There was an advantage when we lead to experimentation, leads to a method, and we grow in knowledge of nature. But this was applied to faith. I mean, yeah, your scientific method, like we do this, we can repeat it, like it works, we grow in knowledge. But they started doing that in the spiritual life. Wait, hold on. We're waiting on Jesus to kind of save us. What if we do it ourselves? And they were saying with Peter, let us build 3 tents. But they did not know what they were saying. Benedict XVI continues and says that this modern world says that salvation came not in faith in Jesus Christ. Now it's faith in restoring paradise. There's a new link between science and praxis. And what do we see this in this modern world? Progress will build our own paradise on earth. There was a modern commentary about utopia, Thomas More's Utopia, and it said that the fatal flaw of this utopian society is that they always sought pleasure as their predominant value. My brothers and sisters, I have a question. Is pleasure, is comfort your number one? Is wanting to stay in the consolation your main focus in life? You can even do this being a good Catholic and saying, I just don't want to suffer. It's not about suffering and not suffering. It's about following Jesus. And Jesus goes to the cross. Man, it's like everybody wants to be resurrected, but nobody wants to go through Calvary. And there's no resurrection without a death. My brothers and sisters, consolations will come, thanks be to God, and consolations will go. It's Jesus who is the tent, or the tabernacle, that's also a name for the tent, in which we will abide. We stick with him. We can build structures and do good, and yes, we should, but ultimately those things will pass away. Our hope and our faith is in Jesus Christ, in whom alone salvation rests. So we'll see you tomorrow. This, your daily Lenten meditation. Father Agostino with you. Peace.